Mic check. Let's see. Is this working? Looks like it's working. All right. Let's start the stream off in a good way with a cat. Oh, we got a baby dressed and just need to turn the camera on. Hi, Justin. Say hi to everybody. Hi, little boy. He's a little out of it. He was half asleep. Hey, Cody. Welcome. Let's see if I can get the belly in the photo, in the frame. Look at this belly. Oh, so fluffy. Oh, he can lick my face if he wants. It's up to him. Ah, got it. This is a weird username, Michelle, I'll be honest. Hey, Cody, how you doing? It's been a while. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. I know I still need to get back to you, by the way. I did not forget. I've just been mulling it over, what we've been talking about. Plus, I'm doing the class, so I'm also busy sometimes. What's the painting this evening? It's another one of my found found photos. Um, so I'm just going to be working on that. I just forgot to do one thing real quick. Um, yeah, 1 second. Can't believe I forgot this. Just trying to stay warm. Yeah, it's real cold here too. Uh, we're hitting all kinds of records if I remember correctly. So yeah, I feel you. Real cold here too. I can't believe I forgot to do this one little thing real quick. I have to do it off camera. Sorry. Um, yeah. I went out today to get shots and my allergy shots, and on the drive there it was, I don't want to say sprinkling, it was just a little misty, and the mist just froze on my windshield as I was driving, which is you know, abnormal for this area. So yeah. Like I mean, we have it does get cold here, but that was a new experience. Just realized I forgot to put this up. You got a little bit of snow, nothing too serious. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's one of those things, right? Where I don't know I forget where you're located. I think Colorado. Is is snow regular? Is it, a regular occurrence to get snow there? Because I think that's one of the big deciding factors as to like how bad, regular snow can be. Like abnormal snowstorms aside, regular kind of things. It's like, is this something that happens regularly? Are we, are you set up, not just the individual and the city and everything, set up to, deal with it? I think that's the like big deciding factors for that type of stuff. I mean, obviously we could prepare better for the snow, but it's like it happens once every couple of years. It's kind of, no one wants to spend money on something that barely ever happens and barely ever an issue. So, but yeah, like I remember visiting Maryland during the like snow once, and they didn't seem to have any problems dealing with it. It's -7 here now. Yeah, we get snow. That's not the hard part. This year has been dry, actually, not much snow, but below zero temperatures are just too cold. That's fair. Yeah, no, I can see that being very problematic. Thanks, Michelle. I appreciate it. Um, yeah. What's it called? Hopefully this year they actually fix the power breakers, not breakers, I forget what it's called. Basically, they were running too many subdivisions off of like one power line, and every time it got cold, it just um everyone used more power, and then we'd all lose power. Hopefully that's not the case this time. Enjoy your hot tea, Laura. How are you doing? Uh, why is Discord being so weird? Just gonna close it. I don't know why it's doing that. Sorry, being weird. Hot tea sounds nice, Laura. Yeah, I'm drinking hot coffee. Laura says, doing okay preparing a loose sketch for a second attempt at that portrait. Good. I hope it goes well. All right, let's see. Let's get back into this painting. See if I can remember where I was last time. All right, so definitely going to need to oil out because I haven't touched it in a while. So, like I've said before, I prefer my preferred medium for oiling out at the moment is Oleo Gel. I just think it does a good job of like spreading and also what's it called? Sitting on the surface. Yeah. Oh, by the way, Cody, I think it was you who I was talking to. Um, hold on a second. Show him support on both places. Thank you, Des. I appreciate that. That's funny. I didn't realize Twitch has lower delay. Um, yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Um, I think it was you who told me to use solvent on a painting that I was trying to varnish, and it was beating up. Uh, Cody, I think it was you who told me about that. If it was, it worked really well. If it wasn't, I'll share that information with everybody. Yeah, using a little bit of solvent on the finished painting worked like a charm to stop the varnish from beating up on it. All right, Michelle, enjoy getting work done, I guess. Yeah, you use solvent to open it up, Cody says. Yeah. No, it worked like a charm. It was great. Henry, hey Henry, welcome. Yeah, palette cam. I try and have it on there when I can. Um, yeah. I don't know how useful it is, but it's at least it's not like blank space, you know? Um, I feel like my palette's so basic that there's not much to it, but whatever. All right. That solves the oiling out issue. I'm actually going to clean up my palette just a little. So I'm taking a class with Nicholas Uribe on color, and so some of these paints are not my normal palette and not how I normally approach things. So just going to put that stuff aside for now. How you doing, Henry? How's the class so far? Class is going well. Oh yeah. Um, he's yeah, it's going really good. Nicholas Uribe is a good teacher. It's like I said, right now we're focusing on colors that aren't in my normal palette. It's not. I'll be honest, the colors aren't my favorite to work with. That's just personal preference. But you know, it's good to. It's always good to push out of your comfort zone a bit here and there. So nothing wrong with that. Before I forget, I need to grab some yellow. So yeah, all the people in the class are fantastic. The other students are great. I, I hope I can like hang out with them some more outside of class because they're all really cool, all seem really nice, and a lot of really good artists in there too. So I wish I wish I could get together with more people like in person. I love the fact that I can connect with so many people online, but it would be nice to actually meet people in person. I say that, and there are options here in Austin, and I don't take advantage of them because that would involve leaving the house. So, uh, a little bit of hypocrisy there, but whatever. I've become very much a homebody since COVID. People are icky though. I mean, there is a bit of that for sure. I mean, um, yeah. So after painting into this stage, I'm just going to go in and kind of mark up some spots where things have drifted a little. I haven't found a good way of like stopping drift from happening. And I say that that's not entirely accurate. I haven't found a good way that also meets my other requirements. So I just kind of live with it. Um, Cody says, I think the one downside to OPL is that it really makes it easy to just stay connected online. We need to have like an in-person get together someday. Yeah, yeah, I think I agree. That would be cool. We have a really cool art school here in Austin. The Atelier Dojo, founded by uh, Jennifer Balkin. It's a really good school. She has a few other people with her. I can't remember who founded it with her. I just remember her specifically. Um, yeah, it's a good school. Nicholas even did a class there once, but it's a bit far for me drive wise. It's like a good 30 minutes to get there, at least. Probably closer to 40. So I don't make it out as much as I'd like. It's funny right now. It just looks like I'm putting lipstick on him. uh, oh, it's out of focus. Why is it out of focus? It's a little better. Yeah, that's better. I mean, the painting's not the most refined at the moment, but yeah, that's what this whole process is about after all. So yeah, right now it's very like I can't even see the original reference. I'm just looking at my painting with the overlay on top of it, just so I can see where, where I need to mark things, just so I have some landmarks to continue with the painting. It's it's really not that easy of a process. It might sound very easy, but there's so much noise that the having the two overlaid on top of each other, that kind of deciphering what it is you're looking at is not the easiest process in the world. See, like right here, I even made a mistake. But yeah, it's not always simple to understand what you're even looking at. I think that's one of the reasons that I end up doing so many passes like this. Well, actually, no. The reason is because everything drifts around as I paint, and I'm not very careful about where things go. Or overly careful, I should say. I'd rather just paint it, paint everything multiple times and have to be overly concerned about putting things in the right place while I'm painting them. Which also should mention is, you know, my particular process, but it also is limiting. It means that I usually can't access transparency in my paint because you can't paint like that with transparency. There's just when you're painting with transparency, you have to paint it and then leave it. You can't keep going back in and messing with it. It also might be a lot slower. I don't know if it is actually slower to work this way or not. But it does take the pressure off a little. I will say that. It reduces the pressure to like get everything right the first time. Cody says you could technically use transparency if you used it in later stage, like a glaze to unify your shadows or something. That is true. You're right about that. I was thinking in a different way, but you are right. Um, there are ways of keeping transparency in the painting process. You're correct. And there's actually a few other ways too. Like if I want something to glow, I could theoretically do a very opaque white layer and then glaze on top of that later. So you're correct. It's not 100% accurate. I think I was thinking more the way that like who is it? The way Schmidt paints, the way like very like the um or maybe not Schmidt, I'm trying to remember. But like loose uh early stages where everything's like appears very loose and there's a lot of transparency to some of the early marks. All right, so now I can start addressing some of the, well, I guess the painting. Just gonna go in and fix the parts that I recognized and model in areas that need clarification. Ah, my blue is skinned over. I don't want a lot of it. It's so funny. I think that like using what's it called? Phthalo blue, sometimes I need just like a few, just a little bit, like the just the tiniest amount, and that's all I need. for anyone who isn't familiar, Phthalo blue is a really good blue, and it works really well as a primary blue. However, it does have a little bit of a disadvantage that it is ridiculously overpowering. So you have to be very careful when you use it. In fact, it is so overpowering that a lot of paint manufacturers will like lessen its strength by adding additives to it to make it less aggressive. But yeah, it's a really strong color. Really good blue though, in my opinion. I feel like it's one of the best because even though it leans green, it can go purple really well. Whereas ultramarine blue, for instance, can't. It's a very purpley blue and it cannot go green. So you can't really get that like turquoise color with ultramarine. Generally, you don't want, like, people don't, other painters recommend not putting white into your shadows. Um, because I'm compressing the value range a bit, I don't have a problem putting white in my shadows, but a lot of people do. There are ways probably of doing it without that, but I don't know. That's just how I paint. I also use black, which I know some people, it's like a no-no for them, but I think that honestly, I would only apply that to beginner artists. I feel like when you first start out, it's great to paint without black, just so that you can learn. But once you have the experience, I don't think that's necessary to keep that habit. Like, I mean, don't use it if you don't want to, but I've done some experiments mixing blacks and using out of the tube black paint and comparing the two and mixing it with other colors. I didn't find a drastic difference between them. So, like if you mix your own black and you use an out of the tube black and you mix it with yellow, it's not really a big difference between the two. I mean, there's going to be a little bit difference because of multiple variables, but not a significant one worth like making an issue over. People do color charts. I've never done color charts, but I have done like painting experiments, which I think are very useful. I think the color charts are very useful as well. I just I think I kind of painted too much before getting introduced to the idea of the color charts. So it feels like a waste of time and paint for me at the moment. I could be wrong, but yeah. Trying to remember. I'm trying to think. I know Richard Schmidt has a thing in his book about color charts. I'm trying to think if I've ever heard about it anywhere else. But yeah, you do have to be careful when painting white into shadows because you don't want your shadows to be kind of milky. Um, Cody says, I think the color charts are nice to have just laying around so you can have a color you want to mix and just look at the color charts and say, oh, phthalo green and yellow and yellow ochre plus white will get close. I can see that. I don't like, I can't imagine that working for me personally. Um, just because of how my brain works, but I can see that working for people, especially if you're not as familiar with your paints. Um, yeah, you are right. They're probably better to have as a beginner. Yeah, I think that's definitely uh, a factor. The other thing is I have ADHD, and if I don't see it, I'll forget it exists. So if I were to make those charts, if I didn't have them like hanging behind my painting, and even then I might just ignore them out of like tunnel vision. So yeah, I'm just like, I don't know how much that would help me personally. But like I said, that is a personal thing. I know some people find it very, very informative and useful to have. Also, I will say this with my current palette, it's kind of easy to figure out, where you want to go. Uh, Cody says I use them for teaching because sometimes the students don't trust me when I tell them what to mix. So I can literally point to the color and say, "See." Okay, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense too. I will say this though, for my palette, it's really like, I don't know. It's simple. It's not easy necessarily, but it is simple. You know what I mean? It's like you want to mix a color. Okay, cool. Is mix mix these three together. Usually with white, sometimes with black. And then it's just like variations of that basically. Is it a reddish color or a yellowish color? Exclude the blue. Is it a purplish color or, bluish color? Exclude the yellow. Like I said, it's so simple, but it simple doesn't mean easy, it just means simple. Like I remember when uh Nicholas Uribe tried using phthalo blue in his painting for one of his challenges and he hated it. So it takes getting used to. But yeah, there's Dramix Paint online has a great mixing tutorial on his channel. He uses similar colors, although he uses ultramarine blue and I think a cad red. Um, so I don't think his palette is as good as mine, but it's still a good tutorial and that covers the basics. He does do a lot more mixing on the painting that I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of, but his mixing tutorial is very straightforward and useful. I guess it's a little funny though, because I do mix a lot on my canvas, but it's not, I don't want to say in, intentional exactly, and it is, but it's not the goal. It's just like adjustments that are being made. It's not like I take color knowing that I'm just going to like mix it in with what's there. I don't know if that makes sense. But sometimes the colors kind of interact or mix, or one's a little more transparent or whatever. But yeah, so they kind of mix, but that's not the intention exactly. Like I'm not using the canvas as an extra palette, I guess is the way I'm thinking of it. I had this problem yesterday too, when I was painting. I try to be very, I don't want to say chatty necessarily, but try and talk through my process as I'm going through it, because YouTube doesn't like silence. But yeah, I don't know. I'm having a hard time just vamping on my own for some reason. Like, I don't have a problem talking, but just, I don't know. I apologize if I'm being quiet, and questions are always welcome. Put it that way. But no obligation from the viewers. I don't want this to be you know, something that people feel obligated for. I can speak about some internet drama stuff happening lately, um, regarding AI, because that came up recently. So I'm informed on that. I can talk about that if anyone's interested. Uh, let's see. Des says, I can't ask questions when I'm beating myself up while sketching. It's fair. It's definitely tough to do, to multitask those three things. Let's see. I am going to totally butcher that name. Sa Sajanith? First time seeing this channel. Thanks so much for stopping by. Indian from UAE. Um, is there a simplified way I can address you, because I am going to butcher your name. Just get it completely wrong. You do gouache and oils and watercolor. That's fantastic. Welcome. I've painted with all those mediums as well. Currently, I'm painting with oils, but yeah, I prefer. I think oils are my favorite. Gouache second, watercolor third. I think that's the ranking I'd give it. Haha, it's a complicated name. Call me Saji. Okay. Yeah, I'm also dyslexic, so trying to like um, pronounce out those that spelling is not my strength. So I appreciate it. I'm used to people messing up my name, so I know the feeling. People call me Leand or Leon all the time, and it's Liad with a D. But people just, I don't know, get it wrong all the time. Your same preference of medium, and you're left-handed like me. Nice. I used to actually prefer watercolors. I used to, because I learned how to paint with watercolors first, and like I was very much into watercolors. And then over the years, my approach to painting and mark making and everything changed. That eventually it was no longer, my favorite. I also went all digital at one point. I think that was also a big contributing factor to that. Laura's missing digital at the moment. That's it's funny when I first moved into painting in oils from being all digital, I found it very frustrating. And then at one point it shifted and now it's the opposite because now when I try and paint with digital, I find it so frustrating to paint digitally. Like it just won't do what I want it to do. It just won't act right and drives me nuts. Suji says, I recently started a stay wet palette with oils by putting my palette in the freezer and brush dip for brushes just to paint quick 30 minutes after a job every day. Nice. I can actually speak to that a bit. So a stay wet palette, that is a very good system, the one that you're describing. Absolutely. Um, it so there's a lot of variables going on here. Um, I don't use the freezer method mostly because I just find it kind of a pain to put my paints in the freezer. I do have a stay wet palette though. I have the white one with the blue lid, the Master's Art or Masterson or whatever it's called. I can't remember the name. Anyways, it doesn't matter. You can use Tupperware. It really doesn't matter. Um, I also use clove oil to help my paints uh, stay wet on the palette. So I put a little container with a cotton ball and clove oil, and I open that up in the sealed container. Having said that, I don't use earth tones in my paint, so um, you know they earth tones dry fast. Cody says yes, Mastersons. That's it. Yeah, the earth tones dry a lot faster than my palette, so that wouldn't work if I was using raw any of the umbers. Basically, that wouldn't work very well. But with my current palette, it works pretty well. The brush dip is cool. That I haven't used that. I just use safflower oil kind of as a brush dip. Took me a second to remember what it was called. Des says that people who do traditional get so frustrated with digital. We just have to figure it all out. Yeah, I like I said, as someone who's bounced between them, I now find digital more frustrating than traditional, even though technically has more versatility and like is more flexible. Yeah. My values are excellent in this painting. Thank you, Suji. Thanks. I appreciate that. This is a painting based off of a photo that is it's an older photo. It's a found photograph. Found photography is photographs that are essentially abandoned in some way and are just found, and people don't know who owns them, who the people in it are. It's very much, hence the name found photography. Um, so, but it's an old photo. I don't do anything from like recent photos. So this is from at least the 70s, if not earlier. What substitutes for umber can you suggest, please? So I have a very simple palette. It is titanium white, um, uh, cad lemon, or bismuth yellow. I've been interchanging the two. Can't really notice a huge difference between them. Quinacridone rose or permanent rose, depending on the manufacturer. And this is Phthalo blue and Mars black. And that's it. These other colors here are, I'm taking a class with Nicholas Uribe. Those aren't usually on my palette. So yeah, so it's very much a primary color palette, um, and it means I have to do a lot of mixing to get uh, certain colors. But it's a very versatile palette, and it's rare that I need to add a occasionally I do, but it's very rare that I need to add like a color of any kind to you know, hit a certain kind of chroma or a certain degree of color. But like I said, it does have its negatives. I spend a lot more time mixing up my colors um, than a lot of people do probably, because I basically don't have any convenience colors. Actually, I think black is maybe the closest to a convenience color that I have. But yeah. I got very frustrated with my with all my earth tones because they were drying so fast on my palette regardless of anything I did. So I just got rid of them. Cody says, Suji, I just recently saw Florent Fargus suggest ivory black in uh, TRO as longer lasting substitute for burnt umber. I also know you can make most earth tones fairly easily with a split primary palette. TRO, transparent red oxide? Is that what that stands for? I can make brown easy with my um, uh, Mars black, some of my uh, rose, and a little bit of what's it called, yellow. That pretty much makes brown. If I want it more, red, I add more red. If I want it less saturated, I can add some blue to it. Yeah. It's worth remembering that brown is essentially a dark desaturated orange because brown as a color doesn't really exist. I mean, obviously it exists, but it doesn't because it's like it's not a distinct color. It's like the same way that we call like light blue is still a blue, or dark blue or indigo blue. Like those are all blues. Brown is essentially orange. It's just we don't call it orange. And I need a bigger brush for some of this right now. I saw an interesting study, not I don't know if it's study's the right word. I read an article that was interesting that cited a study that it's amazing how much our language affects our perception of color. Like there are literally cultures that have more words for certain colors, and because of that, they can perceive more variants of the same color than people who don't have that. On average, of course. Cody says, I can't remember the name of the book, but this one color theorist says brown and gray are dirty words. And you want to use all the other terms to describe the color. That's funny. I can see that. Even blue is there's a theory that people couldn't entirely distinguish blue the way that we currently distinguish blue until I forget what century, but like relatively speaking recent, because prior to that there was no word for it, and it was like a variation of, I think, considered a variation of green, something like that, which is just like bizarre to think about. The other color idea that I like a lot is that magenta is essentially a um, kind of a hallucination of our brain, which is interesting. It's an interesting idea. Because the way our eyes perceive color is we have, I think it's, if I remember, it's cones that perceive the different types of colors. And so it can perceive, I think it's red, yellow, and blue, or green maybe. Can't remember exactly. Um, and it perceives the wavelengths, and if it's more, in that direction or in that direction, like triggers one of those more, we perceive that color. But magenta is essentially the lack of those ones, so it's kind of a hallucination in our brain of what that color looks like. Is phthalo blue as a primary enough for you? You don't need cobalt blue? Um, Trying to remember what, hold on a second. Cobalt blue. Um, Trying to remember what cobalt blue looks like. Um, so I haven't tried cobalt blue. I've used wait, is it cobalt teal that I have? I have a teal color. Um, oh, I'm not going to find it right now. I think it's cobalt teal. Yeah, phthalo is, if I'm not, I think it's actually, okay, I haven't tried cobalt blue, so I can't entirely say, but I think it's definitely better than cobalt teal, because it's darker and it's more saturated it's saturated as it goes dark. So like there's a like an indigo blue, not indigo blue. There's another one I can't remember. That's a very dark blue, but it's not very saturated. You want a lot of saturation as well. So yeah, like I said, I haven't tried cobalt blue, but phthalo seems to be um, a really good primary blue. Cobalt is insanely expensive, which is why most people talk themselves out of trying it. Yeah, like I said, I have a cobalt teal, and it's a beautiful color, but it's also so unnecessary. I literally can mix Prussian blue. That's the one. Yeah, thank you. That was the dark one I was thinking about. It's not a good primary. But cobalt teal is pointless unless you're using it out of the, what's it called? Unless you're using it out of the tube directly without mixing it. I think it's pointless. Yeah, I'd have to try cobalt blue, but um, I don't know. Phthalo blue is less expensive, and it's so far it seems to be really good. It can go both, like I said, it can go both towards the teal, like the greener colors, and it can go very purple. So it's very versatile. I- I'd I'd be interested to see how it compares to cobalt, honestly. But yeah, some people like Prussian blue. I think it's like I said, I don't think it's a good primary because it it's too desaturated. And cobalt teal, the problem with it is once again, it's not saturated. Yeah, my palette is a cyan magenta yellow, but you have to consider that paint isn't the same exact, like it's not 100% accurate. So the thing that's good about phthalo blue is that it's very saturated when it's dark. Whereas if you use like cobalt teal, which is kind of a cyan, you can't get that dark blue color because it just doesn't have it in it, right? As soon as you start mixing black into it, it desaturates. As soon as you start mixing magenta into it, it desaturates, and so on. Same thing with the magenta. I use rose, not magenta, because rose is actually more chromatic. So it's actually further on the spectrum. You can take quinacridone rose and mix magenta with, like, I can mix it down to magenta, but I can't mix magenta up to rose kind of thing. So that's why it's like, it is a CMYK palette, but paint isn't the same as dyes, and it's not the same as, like just color theory. Because the other thing is with paint, it is, paint is, it is a subtractive form of color mixing, but it's also an additive. It's not purely subtractive. It's 6 a.m. here watching as I'm doing my cycle in the gym. Nice. Good on you. I need to get out to the gym more. Well, not to the gym, but I need to work out more, get back into shape kind of thing. So good on you for that. But yeah, it's a, so paint isn't, it's not entirely simple all the time. But yeah, that's, the other blue I do want to try is there's that new Yinmin blue. I think it's going to be very much like ultramarine, which I'm not really all that interested in. But I do want to try it out because it's a new blue, It's really cool that there's a new blue. But talk about insanely expensive. That one's really expensive. Everyone, who is your favorite oil artist and why? That's a complicated one. It's a bit of a cop out to say that, but it's not a simple question, right? I can name off a bunch that I like. I don't know who I'd consider my favorite. It's such a hard question to ask, but um, if you're familiar with Nicholas Uribe, he has a channel on YouTube. Really like his stuff. Um, Our Painted Lives on YouTube. Really good painter. I do love Jeremy Mann's stuff. He's fantastic. Then of course there's some of the classics like Sargent. Uh, I love Leyendecker, even though I don't really paint like him. I do love his stuff. Do I plein air paint? I have in the past. I'm not very good at it. Um, it's definitely a skill you need to develop, and I have not. Um, but I have done it. It's very, very challenging. Do you plein air paint? Yeah, I've plein air painting is so difficult. Yeah, I think it's a great thing to work on and get good at because there's a lot of there's a ton of benefits to being good at something like that. You like Sargent, uh, Diane Miz, and Mark Carter. Mark Carter? Uh, with Diane was okay. I can see that. Mark Carter is really good. He's not one of my favorites, but he's that's not to take away from his skill. He's fantastic. Um, if you're online a lot, you might want to check out Arthur Gaines on Twitch. He's really good. Nicholas is Cody says Nicholas is probably my favorite, but more because of a similar personality slash art theory, like kindred spirits of a thing. I can see that. There's so many insanely good painters out there. Absolutely. Um, oh, Jennifer. Oh my God, I I just mentioned her earlier. Wow. Um, Jeez, my brain is not on it today. Um, I'll remember her name in a minute. She's fantastic too. I followed her forever before I even came to Austin and realized she was local. Uh, Arthur Gaines, not Games, Gaines, like Gaines, I think it is. And Nicholas Uribe, he has a channel on YouTube. Uh, the channel name is Our Painted Lives. A lot of people here who follow me um, know know me from Nicholas's chat. There we go. Laura put the name in the chat. Thanks, Laura. Appreciate it. That's helpful. No, unfortunately, we're not, Laura. I can, but I'd have to, completely stop to do that. Uh, Unfortunately, YouTube. So YouTube's supposed to let me give me the option to allow it to go through or not, but that feature doesn't seem to want to work for some reason. I appreciate it. I do appreciate it, and I would have no problem with it in theory, in this circumstance, right? It just the auto mod thing is just too aggressive, and even though it's supposed to have the option of letting me allow things, it's not very good at that. Rob Ray is cool, and an astronomy nerd. That's cool. Yeah. Sheen Cheatham is great. Jeez, getting all these names messed up. Yeah, there's so many people. I'm just blanking on all the names at the moment. I follow so many artists on Instagram and stuff, but it's hard for me to recall names at the drop of a hat. oh, what's his name? Henrich, I think is how we pronounce it. He's really good. And on YouTube, there's oh um, Alpi Faye, Jennifer Gennari. Okay, Jennifer Balkin. That's who I was thinking of earlier. She's great. Huge fan of hers. That's I could not remember her name. Um, Geez, I'm trying to think of other people, but yeah, I think that's a good one. Hey, Don Lee, work lurk, no problem, Don Lee. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Jennifer Balkan is great. Yeah, she really is. What the thing I love about Jennifer Balkan is how she's able to like she she paints with so many different colors and like this patchwork. But if you if you first of all, if you like were to if you turn everything black and white, everything just blends together seamlessly. It's so impressive. Yeah. Yeah, there's so many artists. I wish my memory was better for names because like there's literally I think like a couple hundred artists I follow on Instagram that are all amazing. I feel oil painters usually are zen, unlike watercolorists who are very fast and restless. I could see that. And you have to work fast sometimes with watercolor. It's just a factor. I may be mistaken, but the opacity of her paintings kind of reminds me of yours too. Oh, Cody, I took a class with her. I totally am influenced by Jennifer Balkin. 100%. I'm like, I was influenced by her before I moved to Austin, and then I found out that she lives here and teaches here, and I was like, oh my God, I am taking a class. And I took a eight week class with her. It was fantastic. So I definitely learned a lot from her. Des on Twitch says I only follow artists on Instagram, I think, or musicians I like. I also follow mostly artists and musicians, and some cosplayers and stuff like that. And Twitch streamers and YouTube streamers, stuff like that. A few family members or friends type of thing, but there are some that I don't even bother with on that because I'm just like, you never post anything, and I don't want to see your food. Like I'm friends with you in real life. I'm friends with you on Facebook and whatever, but your Instagram is not for me. Yeah, Cody, I wish I could show you. Um, one sec, no, I can't. I can't get it right now. But I have a big painting I did from what's her name, Jennifer Balkin's class. Um, it was it's a 30 by 40 painting. It was like that was the class to do a big painting. It was really fun. Now she's doing a lot more, she's doing a lot of different things now. She's experimenting. She's using, Posca pens in her process, which is interesting. I like what she does with it. It's one of those things where which I think is great. I think in art, it's great that, you can there are people who do things that you find interesting or that you enjoy looking at, but doesn't mean that you want to do it yourself kind of thing. I think that's one of the things that's great in art. You can appreciate stuff in a way like that. I have to awaken my Phthalo blue tube from my attic and try. You need to go. Thanks a lot for all the sharing. Hey, absolutely, Suji. Suji, I think it is. Welcome. Thank you for stopping by. It's great talking. I hope the Phthalo blue opens up no problem, and hope to see you around. You're welcome to stop by. I stream 3 times a week. Monday and Wednesday evening or night. For you, it's whatever morning, and then Sunday day for me. So yeah, hope to see you around. Understandable if not. Good luck with your Thalo. But yeah, Jennifer Balkin, when she uses the Posca pens and she essentially like paints with them in a by scribbling and like optically mixing the colors is I think that's so crazy. Like I like the idea of that, and I do like the idea of using optical mixing in my painting process, but I don't know that the scribbling that she does really like works for me personally. But yeah, I think it's very interesting. But yeah, I'm trying to remember. We went to the art museum in Houston once, and there was a show of pointillism, and some of those paintings were really amazing. Like the way that they were able to like mix color and like mess with your eye about what you're seeing was really great. I wish I had taken, or rather, I wish I could have taken more photos at that show. They actually prohibited some photography, which I always hate when museums prohibit photography. Um, I understand no flash, like I get that. That's to preserve the paintings, but just straight up no photography. I'm not a fan of that. I want to be able to take photos, and remember what I'm looking at. I think I think there are very few artists who would also get behind that idea of like no photography in their own shows. I mean, I'm assuming there are some, but generally I feel like artists want to share their work, right? Like who wants to make it less accessible? I have to remember when I'm painting this that all the colors in my reference are completely made up. Yeah. So the original photo is essentially a black and white or sepia, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, so all the colors are made up and the points don't matter. I might take a quick uh, cat break in a minute. We'll see. I'm just waiting for Dresden to finish grooming himself. He's very obsessed with it right now, and I don't want to interrupt, but I do want to pick him up. Here we go. Gonna have a little cat break right now. Oh, Dresden, baby boy. Yeah. Oh, look at this cute little face. Oh, he's so sleepy. I'm just kind of out of it, huh, little boy? Let's show your toe beans, little toe beans. Do you want your tail? Yeah, you want your tail, don't you? Mm-hmm. He is so chill. At the moment. He also has his crazy moments. Okay, little boy. I'll put you down. Time for a little back stretch real quick. I paint standing up, which I think is, for me personally, better. However, uh, I do need to be better at like moving around and stretching. I also need to be better at using my stool that I never use. I wish I could do that. I wish I could have Dresden here instead of my face, like one of those, you know, like that those games where you replace the person's arms, kind of thing. I think that would be hilarious. But Laura says I wanted to make myself into a purple dragon with a paintbrush in my hand, drawing. That's cool. Yeah, I did. I also thought about creating an avatar. Obviously, I decided against it, but yeah, I did consider it for a while. Let's see real quick. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I thought about it, but ultimately I decided not to do it. Partially out of just sheer laziness, like the idea of doing it. But also I do ultimately want to connect with people, and I think there's an authenticity to being yourself. Although I say that, but I do follow VTubers, and I think they're great. So I could be wrong about that. I think part of it might be the market that I'm kind of going for. I think that could be a big factor. Oh, I forgot I'm painting. There we go. You didn't want to pay for an avatar? You can make them yourself. It's just a lot of work, but it is doable. I looked into it. There's some software. I don't think the software is expensive. If I think some of it's free actually, or a lot of it's free. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I think the big thing is too, like I said, I think a big part of it's also the market. Like people who are, you know, I'm going to say like a kind of a, this is a overall kind of simplification, but overall, people who are interested in oil painting and who want to, buy oil paintings generally tend to be a little bit older. They're not like the Zoomer crowd. Not saying that there aren't any Zoomers. I think they'll grow into it. I'm just saying at the moment. And I don't think that they really like the idea of an avatar, VTuber type of thing. Just, I don't think is part of it. The other thing too is I don't think I have like I don't have I don't know, like the most expressive personality in the world. And I think that you need to kind of turn it up for that kind of thing. So, all in all, clearly I decided not to go that route. So it says, okay, it's going to be a late night. You're readying your palette. All right. Hey, I did look into it a little bit because also Michelle, what's it called? She expressed some interest in possibly streaming with a VTuber avatar. So I started looking into it. I think she much more has the personality for it than I do. Okay. Need to lighten up some of this here. Like he does have shadows under his eyes, but this is too much. Worth mentioning, because I just did it, using white to lighten stuff is not always the best, and it's not always the worst either, but it is worth mentioning that it's not necessarily the first thing you should reach for when you're just going to lighten up your color if you're new to painting. I'll put it that way. 'Cause as you get, you know, more experience, you know what's the right color to, you know, go for when you need it. But just reaching for the white is not always a good option. And the reason for that is because white is not this isn't white like digital. It adds or subtracts color and cools things down and affects what you're painting. Cody asks, "Can I ask what some of your workshop ideas are? Like what kind of techniques or subjects might you like to teach?" Absolutely, Cody. I've been thinking about it. I was planning on getting back to you, but I don't mind talking about it. Um, some of the subjects I was thinking about is like, um, you know, painting with a limited palette like mine. That could be a sub. That, you know, that could be one. It might not. I don't know that it's. You know, I. How can I put this? These are just ideas. I don't know what's the best option or you know. Um, so limited palette because I do paint with a very limited palette. Um, doing desaturated or compressed value paintings because I definitely have experience with that. Uh, to the point where I could do even single value paintings uh, and how to approach that because it's not simple. Um, direct painting and how to paint without solvents. Um, yeah, those are some ideas I've had, which I'd be happy to, you know, get some feedback on. Another couple ideas are expressive paintings or um, how to change your style, which would be a more conceptual kind of class. But yeah, nice. I think people would be really interested in learning how to use your specific palette for use. Okay, that's cool. You know, how can I put this? I often don't know what people will, you know, be interested in because it's also one of those things where, like, you know, there's a degree of like you know, you could just pick up this palette. I'm not keeping it a secret. You know, people could just buy it now and try it out if they want. So obviously, it's not like required. It's not like I have some magic, like understanding. But, I'm happy to like talk about it, do demos, explain why, you know, what led me to this and why I, keep using it, what the benefits are, and also answer questions about it and so on. Yeah. Yeah, those are all like subjects I think I feel pretty confident in talking about. I wouldn't feel confident doing an anatomy class. Like, don't get me wrong, I think I'm pretty decent at anatomy, but like compared to some of the other people out there, nah. Like I just I wouldn't even bother. I know people can try it, but I think it could be uh less common. Absolutely. Which is a good thing. With teaching a class, you want to offer people something new. For sure. For sure. The other thing too is I do think I use this palette in a bit of a unique way because I feel like a lot of people who use palettes like this, um, they have a tendency to do very, uh, chromatic paintings overall. And I feel like I have it, you know, I tend to I tend to try like I'm not saying I don't take advantage of the chromatic of the chroma of the paint because I do. I have I have some paintings that are very, very chromatic, but it's still very compressed. So it's like very pastelly, stuff like that. Um, I do think that's a little different than what is commonly used when using colors that are this chromatic. Hi, Dresden. What's going on? What's going on, little boy? Thanks, Michelle. I appreciate that. All right, we're getting a second or a third. I don't remember. Another cat break because apparently Dresden has to have some more attention. Isn't that right, little boy? Isn't that right? Oh, yeah. Oh, thank you, little boy. Ow, thank you. Ow. Okay, let's go for the beard. It's less painful than the nose. These little knives. He's kneading my shoulder and it's so painful. Okay, little boy, thank you. Okay, okay. Now, why? Hmm. Okay, just okay. Ow, the kneading. Oh, it's so. Okay, interesting. Okay, jeez, and stop. Oh, oh, thank you, little boy. Thank you very much. That was very painful. No, we don't need to go. No, 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 no. Ah. Ah. Okay, Jonathan. Okay, okay, little boy. Okay, thank you, thank you. Oh, you're so sweet. Okay, no, no, no more licking. We're good. I don't need more licking. Definitely don't need more licking. All right, my Twitch is my Twitch frozen? Yeah, I don't know if Jennifer Balkin would be interested in doing classes, just because she basically has her own school, but she might. I'm not saying she never would be up for it. I don't know. I know she's done some like workshops overseas and stuff, so she might be up for it. Which is good. Okay, good. Um, Cody says, I want to start offering specialty workshops by other artists to my students. It shake things up and give people an opportunity to hear from a variety of painter. Absolutely, absolutely. Twitch has less of a delay, yeah. Oh, his tongue is so scratchy. Oh, jeez. All right. I can feel I am starting to lose steam a bit. I'm going to keep going for a little bit longer, but I can definitely feel we're kind of sliding into the end of the night here. I don't know. I might try and do something different with my streams at some point where like I just leave it on. Um More of a cuz like I get tired, streaming and painting, but then I can take a break and come back and continue. And I don't know, I might do like an open day, like a I don't know, open studio stream or something where I just keep the camera on even when I'm not necessarily doing anything. Dresden is perfect. It's your face that's scratchy. Funny. I mean, yeah, my face is scratchy. That's true too. I really wish I could attend. I'm not even talking about like teaching, but even just attend those Realm workshops. Those look like so much fun. Oh, oh, hi, Elisha. Welcome. How you doing? I was going to ask Cody, you're a reseller of oh, I totally forgot I left the camera on. Shoot. You're a reseller for what's it called, right? Rosemary brushes, or not a reseller, what is it? You have some connection to rosemary brushes. How's it going? It's going good, Elijah. Yeah. How you doing? A bit of a headache, but otherwise okay. That's sorry to hear the headache, but yeah, beautiful portrait. Thank you. Yeah, this is one of the found photography photos. I'm trying to work on it. Obviously, it's a portrait, but I don't want it to be too much of a portrait. So we're working on it. I mean, obviously, it's going to be a portrait regardless, but I don't want it to be like too much about the person's face, I guess it's the way I'd put it. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah. I guess too much about the likeness. That's the word I'm looking for. Like the likeness is secondary. No, this is not for the class. This is just a painting I started before taking the class. And homework this week is we'll see if I do it on stream. It's not, I might not, you know, I might not do it on stream just because of, I don't want to say time necessarily, but just, yeah. But yeah, I started this prior. So I wanted to get back to it. I can definitely feel I'm winding down for the night as far as painting goes. Like, I definitely don't think I can keep this up for much longer without a break. like when painting, I tend to try and, well, not just in painting, but I have a tendency to push myself past what like I can actually do. And that ultimately often ends up just making me like make mistakes and mess things up more. So, not easy to stop when you need to sometimes, but it's good to do if you can. If you can notice those moments and be like, okay, it's a break, it's break time. Do I ever get frustrated with painting? And if so, what has helped you get through those moments? Oh, absolutely. I get frustrated with painting all the time. And what do I do to get through it? It kind of depends what is the frustrating moment because it does vary, right? Because like sometimes I get frustrated that a painting's taking too long, um, or I get frustrated that that I'm struggling with like one particular element of a painting. That does happen too. Um, so it just kind of depends. And as far as like what I do to get past it, I wish I could give you like a good answer. Um, but I'm not going to be able to give you a good answer because it does vary quite a lot, right? Not only does it vary based off of what is the issue, it also varies based off of like where I'm at emotionally and mentally. Painting really grinds my gears, Kerr. What aspect of painting grinds your gears, or are you doing a bit? Very situationally, I feel you. Yeah. But one of the things is, taking breaks, working on multiple paintings at the same time. Those are all things that can be helpful. So yeah, that would be my like number one, I guess, would be just to um, have a few things that you can work on simultaneously. I will I will warn that when you're working on multiple things at the same time, personally, it does tend me to get more frustrated with like how slowly things are progressing. So it's definitely a balancing act of like, okay, I'll work on multiple things, but also I will focus on some more than others to like just get through it. Uh, Elijah says, I just get so easily frustrated and lose myself. I often lose the purpose and drive somewhere along the way. Maybe I'm too expectant and not observant. I often want my paintings to look right, but they often look off. Sure. I mean, that's just a slow, like, that's just part of the process. Don Lee says, I really like how this is turning out. Nice work, as always. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Um, yeah, my, for what you're talking about, Elijah, like, this might not be the right answer, but my recommendation would be keep your paintings small and keep your painting sessions limited in time and focus more on getting what you can done in that time and don't worry so much about like the final result and bit slowly build from there kind of thing. But keeping them limited in size and time will let you get through um, more quicker. And then also, I mean, look, everyone can always benefit from taking classes, like, you know, but yeah, that might be something that could be beneficial if you can. Um, or the other thing I would say is also, okay, this would be my biggest recommendation, I think, is look at like what is the aspect that doesn't look right? Like why is it that it doesn't look right? And you might have multiple aspects that, you know, which is fine. If you don't if you have multiples, that's fine. Try and break it down into like different factors. Like it looks wrong because my anatomy is off. It looks wrong because I got the proportions wrong. It looks off because my color values are bad or incorrect, or I can't get the right you know whatever it is, or I my references are bad, or whatever it is, right? And just start trying to address each element individually without doing a full painting. Like practice those individual elements. Um, that will help a lot too. How did your class go? Classes are going well, Donley. Thanks for asking. By the way, Donley, when are you streaming next? When's the next stream? Donley streams on Twitch. He's a fun streamer. I'll try to focus in on pinpointing stuff. Thanks. Absolutely, Elijah. if you ever want any like what's it called? Advice or something like that, you're welcome to post something in the Discord. I'm happy to take a look at the stuff. I don't mind. Maybe tomorrow, definitely Thursday, Donley says. Okay, awesome, man. All right. I'm going to be calling it a night. Before I go, I want to mention I do stream 3 times a week. Monday night, Wednesday night, and Thursday, not Thursday, Sunday day is all Central Time. Yeah. Um, I simulcast to YouTube and Twitch. Please, follow, subscribe, all that stuff. I don't see notifications on Twitch, by the way, so if anyone's followed and I never responded, or I do appreciate it, I just don't see the notifications. Yeah. Laura says, I might give up and do this damn portrait in digital. That's fair. If it's your first oil painting portrait, even if it's not your first ever, but just in a long time, it's gonna be rough. So I can understand that. Thanks for streaming. Oh, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. Yeah. So yeah, I'll be here on Wednesday. Um, see what I'll either be finishing this one or I'll be doing homework for Nicholas Uribe's class. We'll see. I'm probably finishing this one though. So yeah. Anyways, have a good night, everybody. Have a great week, and so on. All right. Bye. Only says before I go, you can always do digital portrait, and if you get inspired to take it to oil once you have it figured out. Oh, this is for Des. Absolutely. All right. I'm going now.